Okay, we can get started. Yeah, thanks everybody for attending today. I know it's been a big week for us. I mean, we're launching Dossium Agents this week. You can find a lot of articles been writing on Twitter, on X, and follow along, and definitely would love to hear your feedback. I'm just Kirk Marple, who been the founder and CEO of Graphlet for the last several years, and now we have our new product Dossium that we're releasing. We released a couple months ago our first version, and now the agents layer we're releasing this week. So we're recording this. So I'll share this out after the launch demo. And what I'm going to do today is walk through Dossium. Most of you haven't seen it before, but I'll walk through the application. I'll walk through creating an agent and how this works with the different channels like iMessage and Slack, and then do some quick demos of what the agent is capable of. And so the context today is around deal teams, but the product really will work for so many different verticals, from a CEO needing a chief of staff agent to a go-to-market person, a customer success. But for this, we're really going to talk about, I mean, what if you're evaluating companies, say, as a VC or M&A advisor? We've had those kind of people look and say, our data is a mess. It's in Google Drive, it's in our CRM, it's in Slack. How do we coalesce this together, coagulate it together, and let AI work on it? And so what Dossium is an application built on top of our Graphlet platform that builds you a context layer. And what this means, it's the context that your AI agent can pull from for chat. Like if you're in Claude or if you're in ChatGPT, you can actually provide this data directly through our MCP integration. Or we actually have an in-application chat where I actually said, hey, prepare me for this meeting. And it goes and does all the research, pulls this together from both internal and external data. And this can actually be your assistant for anything you're doing in your business today. And what we're going to talk about specifically is how do we prepare that data? How do you get the data into the application and use it with your agents? And so we have a wide variety of different data sources today. Really, you can see here from everything from Twitter to Notion, all of your different Google and Microsoft data sources that you might want to pull in, calendars, GitHub, Linear. So today we're going to focus more on what would the deal teams need. And a lot of times that's your CRM. And ADIO is one of the first CRMs we've supported. We have HubSpot, we have Salesforce coming online soon, but we also do meeting recordings, not just textual data. And so Dossium is multimodal. You can actually pull in data that's a video recording, the same as an image, a web page. So all of this data feeds your context layer, and we'll show how to pull all of that in. And it's also secure, where you're actually linking to the actual data, the secure data in your own account. So we manage all of your OAuth tokens. You log in, we store them, we encrypt them, and these can get used with data sources to pull in the data into Dossium. But we can also show how these can be used for distribution. Post to Slack, go push this as a Jira ticket, or even push it to Google Drive or Google Docs. And so we'll show how this works across all these different account types as well. So let's see, what we'll do is I've already onboarded myself, but I can show you how you as a new user into Dossium, how this works. So you sign up for Dossium, it's free to start out with. You set up your workspace and you can type in who you are. We'll help you through personalizing your assistant, connecting your agents to your different channels. So here I can say, okay, I am from Graphlet, but I know on LinkedIn we have our listed as this. So we can say, okay, here's our company. And what we're actually doing is enriching you as a person in the company so we know a bit about you. we can say, okay, well, what kind of assistant do I want? And the EA assistant is actually really good one. I use it a ton, having it bound to Slack, and I can drop in notes, I can drop in articles, and it'll sort of pre-read the data and give me feedback on, have we seen this before? Is this a thread that we need to follow up on? So we can try this with an EA assistant. You can configure this and say, okay, I would like a more kind of warm, energetic, maybe, I mean, a highly proactive EA, and then optimize to keep me responsible. And when unsure, I actually want a very proactive one. I want them to act as much as for me as much as possible. So I'll create my assistant. And if you're familiar with a lot of the agents today for OpenClaw and how these work, we're creating your persona. So the agent has a persona that you can start with. We're building that persona, and then your agent right now is actually bound to this number that you can text and give instructions to. And we've integrated this with agent mail, if you're familiar with them, where every agent can have an inbox. So now I could email this address directly, ask questions, I could send it documents that get ingested, and it acts just like an EA. And so here, now you're going through linking your world into Dossium. So this is where we have Google Workspace already connected. I mean, say I want to build my, add in my Microsoft account. I can go in, it's going to actually, give me all the information here to sign in, and I can go through. This actually then creates the OAuth connector and also creates the data sources to pull this data directly into Dossium today. And so we can now connect this to Slack, Teams, Notion. For product and engineering groups, we do have your engineering tools. And then here, ADIO and HubSpot, you can set up initially. And so this is the onboarding that kind of gets you started. So the data is now being pulled into Dossium. We can see here, let's so focus on, so we just want to look at, say, calendar events. And so here, we actually do have a bunch of different calendar events, and these are directly from my calendar. They're searchable. We can pull in things like, say, pull files. We can look at, okay, I just want maybe Gmail or Google Drive. And so I can say, filter just on data from my Google Drive. I can pull that in. And so you get filtering and search. And it's also search that is vector and hybrid keyword search as well. You can even enable multimodal search to search within images or search in videos. And that's already enabled for you. So what we want to do next is we've onboarded some data. We now want to look specifically at agents. And so onboarding has created two different agents for me, one an email agent, one a messaging agent, and then I have my Slack agent I've already built here. And agents can use skills. You've probably heard of these as basically markdown files that can advise your agents on how to integrate the data, how to basically, they're instructions for the business logic of how the data actually gets used by the agent and what the agent wants to do later. So here's a skill about building a deal diligence brief. And so I've already imported that. We support the skill MD format, and you can even connect us to, if you have a GitHub, you can even say, hey, there's a skill, set of skills on a GitHub repo. You can pull all those in directly and we'll import those right away. Also, we have personas. So here's basically a deal team persona, deal team partner persona that I've built. So this is your agent persona and how they're approaching your agent request. So this is kind of their brain, their personality, I should say. And this is the sole MD format that OpenClaw uses. We can pull this in directly as well. And I had built one for, say, like an SRE you might have. You can build these in, you can import them. And the agents themselves we can show. So let's say we have a bunch of different templates here.
You could say we have scheduled, we have triggered, we have webhook agents, which mean I could have an agent that, say, every Monday morning, sends me information, and it does research and delivers that to my email. We can even do triggered ones where it says, okay, on a heartbeat, now, this actually checks back every day, every hour, and proactively will send information out. Or even if you want to say respond to every email, you can actually have a triggered agent that looks at a specific data source like your Gmail and will react to that data. But what we're going to do is we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to say, okay, deal team agent. I'm going to pick the model that I want. Say I'm going to use Opus 4.7. And see up here, I could pick the other agent types, but this is a pure chat-oriented agent. I'll pick the persona that I already created. And what I'm going to do is I imported a set of sample data, and I added it to a collection. And so right now it's already in a collection. I could even do this from, say, I want to just look at my Google Drive data sources in addition. And so now it's going to get me data that's either in this data collection or in my Google Drive. So what this means is you're actually limiting what the agent can see. So if you're building a personal agent or you're building a team-oriented agent, this is where it's very important that you don't want to search across everything in your company. You can limit the agent to just be able to retrieve the data from these sources. Now, agents can do it. You might have seen with Claude or ChatGPT, they can do background research. They can do deep research. And so you can actually pick how much effort, how long you want research to run. And so here we can say, okay, the workers that are spun up, we want them to be pretty quick. We want to do a bit of research, but we don't want to sit for 15 minutes. Or we can say standard. And we even can do it where, we spin up dozens of workers and it can run for several hours. But we'll pick quick for this one. And one of the things also is it's not just the data that's in Dossium. We can connect to any MCP server that you can authenticate into the system. So here I've connected my Granola meeting recordings. And what this does is these tools in these MCPs become available to your agents. And so the agent now can actually query your meeting recordings or come up with more information from these external sources in addition to what you've directly uploaded and has been indexed into Dossium. And lastly, the code execution is you can have your agent in the background do deeper analysis on data, and it can write Python code within a sandbox that only has access to your data. And it's secure, it's within a sandbox, but you can say, hey, generate a CSV of data from these different sources, go analyze it for outliers, chart it, and then return that information to me. So you can do very deep research that even requires some data analysis. And you can also turn that off. So now we're going to create this agent. And you have to then take an agent and map it to a channel. So we'll go over to agents here. So I have a couple different channels already. So we've now have a Slack bot that is connected. We have email, and I could even say, okay, I want to call into this, or I want to message this. And you can also then give it instructions in the channel itself. So say this is my EA agent, I can actually link this in and specifically give it extra information as I work through sending it prompts. So what we'll do now is when the agent runs, we can actually say, okay, I want to view the specific runs, the previous runs of the agent. Here I have some runs before with different other agents that I've had, but we can now take our deal team agent and we can come over here and we can talk to it. So let me just grab the first prompt here, and we're already set up. So we're using the persona of the deal team partner, and I can send this in. So this is live doing the request to with the data that's already been ingested. And so, as you've used Claude, you've used ChatGPT, you see that it's doing tool calling and it's doing thinking. And so what I'll show you is
we track all of that information, and you have access to look deeply into what is the agent even doing. A lot of times you might see these different tool calls, and it's hard to really go in there and understand what is actually happening. Here, we handle tool permissioning. So for Granola, I can say always allow, and now I'm opting into the permission of calling MCP tools. So we actually have that inherent in the system that we can build from. So it's working through. It's actually pulling in this data that was when ingested. It's creating a partner review briefing. But if we actually go over here, I could show you what it's doing behind the scenes. And so it's actually going into, the first is prompt analysis. So we look at the prompt and we say, okay, well, what do we think this is going to do? How can we help the model understand? And so it's saying, I think it needs, or it requires internal context. So it's bringing this data in, analyzing the prompt, and then guiding the agent through that. And so it knows that I need to search Granola and I need to search its internal context. It's going to retrieve content and communications, which means communications are specifically emails and messages. It's identifying that Northstar Robotics as an organization to filter on. So you can see here that it actually isn't just searching by text, it's by searching by entities, which I haven't talked much about, but as the data comes in, we're making it searchable, we're putting it into a vector database and embeddings and things like people know about RAG, but we're also creating an interconnected context graph. So all of your data is extracted for person, organization, place, event, these entities that are interlinked between your email, your Google Drive, even your chats, and we're pulling out facts. And those facts can be referenced to these entities as well. And I'll show you that in a minute, but we're going through now and looking and searching for this data. It finds this information that was uploaded. It then prepares these different stages, and now it's actually doing the retrieval in parallel. And so you can watch what the agent is doing here. And I'll go back and look at its answer. So now it actually generated the partner briefing. It found data that conflicted with the founder story, showed what needs diligence, and then the recommended decision frame to today. And a lot of what to think about is it's doing this as the persona of the deal team partner. So this is why it's answering in this method. And we can also even change the model as we go through here if you wanted to. Here you're seeing what MCP tools are available, and we actually have the ability to then publish that data. Say you want to create an infographic and post it to Slack for your team, or create an audio summary to give to your boss, you can republish from the data that you've had with this agent into different formats. Let me do the next prompt here. And so what this is going to do is say, create a deal evidence timeline based on the information it have, saved to Google Drive. And see, I'm not saying what account. How is it actually going to know where my Google Drive is? I'll tell you that in a second. And then also saying, well, use your code execution, see what kind of data, what kind of evidence you can create, and then score that information, and then post that image back to Slack with a short caption. So I'll kick this off. And so this is actually going to spin up workers. It's all cloud hosted. It's thinking about what it's going to do, and it'll work through all of this individually. And let's see, we're going to talk about context. Let's see the overview. You can see what storage has been uploaded. And then, facts we're going to talk about. So facts are essentially sentences, assertions that we automatically extract from the data that's coming in. And so we can say, let me look at, let's see, a content source, and I want to sort just what came through Google Drive. And what this gives is, this is, we're taking out the sort of root notes, the sentences of facts and goals and decisions that happen in your business. And so this is done automatically, but we're also matching this to the entities, the people, the companies. And so I can come in here and say, okay, well, show me just the facts that relate to this Thomas Keller. And here, there's only actually one. But let's look and see, what about Maya Chen? And so we can sort by filter facts by Maya Chen. And there's multiple of them. And I can look back and say, okay, well, this looked like a delegation, the time frame it was valid from. And so all of this information is then retrievable by your agent. So the agent doesn't have to look at the raw text. It can actually pull from these facts or even the entities that we've already created in the organization. And we even support basically building this knowledge graph, this interactive knowledge graph that shows you all of the organizations and the people that are all related in this system. Okay, so let's go back to agents. Let's go back to chat. I know we only have a few minutes left. So it's actually creating this timeline. It's working through everything. I will show you the generated one. And this is where I'll end up, and we can open it up for questions. Yeah, so I think, for deal teams specifically, I think having the secure data room where you can pull from Google Drive, Dropbox, Box into something that you can wrap agents around is super important, as well as having something that's agnostic from your CRM. A lot of companies are building this into their products, but the point of Dossium is to have something that's agnostic and works across all of your products. So that's really the main point of with deal teams, with a lot of other teams, this context layer and building this is something we can do automatically. And this is really where the agent value comes into play by layering that on top. Let's see, creating the graph. So the graph is created as data is ingested. So if you have 10 million files, it's really more about the ingestion time. The time of that matters more about the LLMs. So if you're typically we're using Gemini Flash, Flashlight actually these days, which is a good balance of quality and speed. But a lot of more of what we're gated on is really just getting data through the system, being analyzed by the LLMs. And when you're creating that graph, you're not creating it all at once. You're creating it as the data is flowing in. So you don't have that latency really to think about. And then cost-wise, all of this is driven by basically a credit system. So we're mapping all of the data that's coming in to credits, and then we're tracking those credits. And then at the different plans that we offer, we're essentially just you're buying into different credits per month. And so that as your team grows, you can basically move up and buy into more credits. So. Okay, let's see if there's no more questions. I really appreciate everybody being here today, and definitely feel free. I'm on Twitter as Kirk Marple. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any questions, or just on our website, there's a place you can set up a calendar meeting with me, and if you want to chat about how you might want to use Dossium. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate you being here.